You're tuning in to Geek Speak, a Geek Insider production. We're sitting with special guests in entertainment, news, and tech. So sit back and enjoy the show as we geek out together right now. Good afternoon, everybody. This is a special Geek Speak, and we've got a special guest today. It is the star of Kings of Kush, but you might know his voice. You might recognize that blue shirt. We have Anthony Sullivan with us. Hello.
How you doing? All right. Good to be here. I like the intro. Thank you very much.
Well, welcome to the show. Now, Anthony, Kings of Kush. Yep. My goodness, we go from spokesman to farming in rock country.
You know it. I took a midlife crisis, right? Or midlife breakthrough. Either a breakthrough or a breakdown, right?
Right. But I read a little bit about it and the backstory, and I would love for you to share how that kind of came about.
Yeah. I tend to talk a lot. So I've made all my money in my life. I've made through talking. So if you want to jump in, you feel free to just raise a hand or, tell me just to start. But this project was actually inspired by an experience that I had with my daughter, Devon, who's now 10. Back in 2018, she was put on a medication for seizure, an anti-seizure medication. And it had devastating, and I really use the word devastating, side effects on her. She has special needs. She was born with a very rare genetic disorder. She's a great kid. She doesn't talk like you and I would have a conversation, so she really uses her personality to communicate. She's found ways to do things her own way. Her name's Devon. She was, back in 2018, she was 7. Anyway, she was put on this medication. And in a nutshell, it erased her personality over a period of about 3 months. She lost 20% of her body weight. Her friends in her school had to make a bed for her in a classroom because she couldn't stay awake. And this is a kid that already had enough challenges, without this happening. Right. So I took her on a rafting trip, and I didn't recognize my own little girl. And I brought her back to her mom that night, and I said, you know what, we have to do something about this medication. I said, I would rather quit. I remember saying this. I said, I would rather quit work and just be there to catch her when she has a seizure rather than her be on this medication. So her mom suggested CBD. It was a pretty poignant moment. Everyone loves their own kid, but you see your kid struggle like this, and it was just horrible. And, the neurologist put her on this medication. So we're just following doctor's orders. Anyway, her mom suggested CBD, and at the time, I didn't really know much about it. I'd heard about it a little bit, and I immediately went to, no, I don't want my kid to be high. And, 7-year-old kid, and I'm just like, I don't know if this is a great idea. Anyway, I thought about it for 24 hours. I called her up. I said, listen, we got to, whatever we do, it's got to be better than the medication she's on. Anyway, so her mom's a PhD. She's a clinical psychologist, so she's way smarter than me. So she started to, experiment with dosing of different brands of CBD. Anyway, over a period of a couple months, we saw a dramatic improvement in Devon's personality, and we slowly weaned her off the pharmaceuticals she was on. I don't want to mention the name of the drug because I feel like there's a place for everything, pharmaceuticals. I don't, what works for one person doesn't work for someone else. But then the farming part comes. I just noticed the return of my daughter. And so Labor Day 2018, a friend of mine invites me up to his weed farm. He's like, come up, see my weed farm in Vermont. So I didn't pay any attention. I had a couple lunchtime beers at the spot on the dock in Vermont. I was on my phone, not paying attention. It's a beautiful day. Anyway, I look up about an hour from Burlington, and we're in the middle of this field of 6 foot high CBD hemp plants that look, feel, smell like cannabis. Right. And I literally was like, oh my God.
I'm so getting arrested, right?
No, 37,000 plants over 25 acres. And I just stood there, and I had just a moment of clarity. And I'm like, I want to become a farmer. This is the plant that's helping my little girl. And I want to, the next part of my life, this is something I want to do. And I've never farmed anything in my life. So fly back to Florida. I couldn't stop thinking about it. I call an old friend of mine, a guy called Dave Christian, who's my partner on the show. You'll see him on Kings of Kush. And I said, buddy, I want to show you something. This is a project I want to do. I want to start a company. I want to start a farm. And he's like, you're crazy. What do you know about farming? I'm like, we'll figure it out. It can't be that difficult, right? So, I'm a cockeyed optimist. So we ended out, we had a little help from the locals. A local farmer kind of gave us a one-pager of what we would need. We need a tractor, we need a piece of land, we need some seeds, we need some irrigation, like basic farming stuff, right? And so we put together the requisition list, and we ended up buying a beautiful piece of land, 116 acres in Plainfield, Vermont, right outside of Montpelier. And we started, in January of 2019, which is, it seems like a lifetime ago now. It's just over 2 years. We bought 66,000 seeds from an Oregon breeder and Oregon genetics, because Vermont's on the same latitude. And we decided to grow high CBD hemp. And we didn't do 1 acre or 2 acres. We did 50. And it was a massive, massive undertaking. It was the wettest spring on record. There was a couple moments, and there still is, when I'm like, what have I got myself into? I had this perfectly serene life as the OxiClean guy, and now I decide to start farming at 50. So anyway, long story short, we pulled it off. We decided to film it along the way. Tom Beers, who created Deadliest Catch and Ice Road Truckers, is a good friend of mine. I said, Tom, I'm starting this farm up in Oregon. We're going to grow 66,000 high CBD hemp plants. And he had one word. He said, ambitious. And we finally got him in the ground. We had a camera traipsing us around. And I decided that, I thought this would, if we capture this on film and we can make it entertaining, which obviously is the first thing it has to be, right? It has to entertain. But if we can educate at the same time and peel back the curtain, if you will, onto, really a plant that most people still don't really understand. People don't understand the difference between, high THC, cannabis and high CBD hemp, and the genetics and everything that this plant can offer. And of course, with the true north of my daughter as an inspiration for this, we've actually successfully grown 2 seasons now, over 150,000 plants. We ended up needing 3 tractors instead of 1, 4 gators, 3 greenhouses, about 10 RVs, 2 wells, a couple $1 million we've invested into it. The TV show's on the air. We went to a solventless extraction process, and I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know, I remember when I first came to America when I was 22, and I'd never been on TV before. And I told everyone, I'm going to go to America and I'm going to go on television. And everyone thought I was completely nuts. Like, what do you know about being on TV? I'm like, I don't know. I'll figure it out. And I went at this with the same sort of, we'll figure it out. And I'm really proud of what we've done. I'm proud of, my partner, Dave. I couldn't have done this without him. My whole team, the team at Mont Kush. We've worked, with, we've got a grow master. We've got the farmers, the guys weed whacking, digging rocks out of the fields. I don't know if you saw episode 2 with the rocks.
Gee, I want to know what you did with all those rocks, because I saw your little infomercial where you were trying to sell or give them away, for free. But are they just piled on the farm somewhere?
Well, it was funny. When we went looking for the land, we drove around, and the 2 neighbors told us, they're like, you want to be careful with this farm. It grows rocks. And we're like, what do you we didn't even take them serious. They said it grows rocks. They actually told us. And I'm like, well, how really can it really grow rocks? Well, there were all these walls around the big piles of walls around the around the edge of the fields. And we figured out quickly that those walls by the edge of the field, rocks, all came from inside the field. And with the freeze-thaw cycle in Vermont, because they basically, with every freeze-thaw, they literally grow rocks. And we have rocks the size of car engines. And these, is one thing I've learned with, you can't take things like this, the whole romantic idea of buying a farm and being a gentleman farmer. Let me tell you, it's the hardest thing I've ever done, but it's very, very rewarding in that we did something way out of my comfort zone, and we pulled it off. But we had a lot of trials and tribulations along the way.
But say, we were saying just a minute ago, the whole story with your daughter and is inspiring, but you didn't realize how much work was going to go into this. But what I want to circle to is you touched on a really big point that so many people don't realize the benefits of CBD. I suffer from chronic pain, have for decades. I heard about CBD. I tried some little things here and there, never got any relief until I started getting into the pharmaceutical grade stuff. And that stuff is a miracle for pain. I tout the benefits of CBD anytime I can. That's why immediately when I got the press release on this, I was like, I want to meet Sully. Because I'd come across the show by accident. I just saw Kings of Kush, and I'm a smoker. I was like, oh, Kush, cool. And then I saw you, and I was like, what the hell is Sully doing? And I came into chat the next day, and I was like, hey, guys, y'all know the OxiClean guy? I said, he's growing weed now.
Well,
but
go ahead.
I was just going to say, it is because we're only a few episodes in.
Right.
Are you going to be educating the public on the various aspects of CBD, or is it really?
Yeah. I mean, look, it is the story of our farm, and it is inspired by my daughter. And we do, we have the same challenges that anyone who's ever grown anything. Dealing with the weather, you're dealing with Mother Nature, you're dealing with it's too hot, too cold, too wet, the early frost, not enough labor, too much labor, mechanical breakdowns. All that is in the show. But one of the things that I'm really proud of is we looked at the extraction methods that are used in the industry. And there's basically two methods to extract CBD that are widely used. And that's one using CO2 and one using ethanol. And they both kind of destroy a lot of the benefits of the natural, occurring cannabinoids and terpenes and lipids and oils and fats that exist within the plant are stripped away a little bit. And we stumbled across an organic extraction method using a press. So basically the same way you would fresh squeeze an orange juice and get fresh, the difference between fresh squeezed orange juice, like out of an orange, and then you get it from a gas station, two different experiences. Right. We used the press. We're able to actually press the flower, the tops from our plants, that traditionally, would be smoked in some cases, and some people do smoke them for CBD, and we extract this rosin, and this rosin really is like an exact fingerprint of the plant, and that is our active. And as far as I know, we're the only people, I would say, in the world that are extracting using the solventless extraction method. And we also we got our organic certification, believe it or not, in our first year. So we're an organic farm. Our extraction process is organic. We just got the USDA certified symbol on our product, which is hard to get.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Very, very happy about that. And we have, this plant, it's been illegal for many, many years, and it still lives in the shadows. We had some people come to our farm, very nice people, but they said it's the devil's plant. There's still people that, and it's okay because it's just been vilified and it's been demonized over the years. And, there's a difference, right? And, there's medicinal uses for THC cannabis, and there's medicinal uses for high CBD hemp. And I'm just happy that we can sort of shine a spotlight on it. And I wanted to be taken seriously in this space. And I also wanted to understand the process in making something for my daughter. I wanted to know what I was putting into her body. And also the easiest thing for me to have done would be to go white label a bottle of CBD and call it Sully CBD. But I decided to do it the hard way. I wanted to understand it. So owning the farm with my team and putting it together and doing this is from the ground up, literally from seed to shelf, is really taught me a lot. And hopefully people who watch the show, like I said, I want to make people laugh. That's my favorite thing to do. I want you to laugh at me. I want you to laugh with me. But if we can educate along the way and help a few people along the way and make a great end product, then that's fantastic,
Now,
so,
we know I'm sorry, go ahead.
I did want to ask a quick question, because Vermont, when you were saying they grow rocks, I mean, it is granite country.
It is.
There are a lot of other locations, maybe further south, North Carolina, Virginia, Florida even, that might have been a little easier on you.
Yeah, we actually have a partner in Arkansas, in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and he has a 400-acre beautiful flat, beautiful farm, no rocks, $1,000 an acre. Why we didn't do that, I don't know. You know what? I feel that I'm not a very religious person, but I feel like God put me up in Vermont so I could do this for my daughter. And I really love Vermont. The people there have been fantastic to us. We have a very short grow season. serendipitously, our name, our brand, Mont Kush, and Mont is a shout out, obviously, to the Mont in Vermont, the French word for mountain, and our farm happens to be on the side of a mountain. And Kush is a shout out to the genetics that we grow from the Kush mountain range down in the foothills of the Himalayas. But also in Hindi, it translates to happy. So happy mountain. So, but you're absolutely right. Berry is the closest town to big town to our farm. And would you know this? The National Granite Museum is in Berry.
I was born in Berry.
When you drive through Berry, there's a statue of an Italian, all the Italians that came over from Vermont. They're about 5 miles from our farm. So yeah, we are, we're rookies. Fish out of water. It was we made a lot of mistakes, but ultimately we persevered and we got through it. So I'm there's a few things I would do differently if I did it again. But I love being in Vermont. It's a short grow season, but it's beautiful up there.
Yeah, I was born in Berry, so
Right.
but now, so I'm familiar with the country. But I moved down to Florida, and I'm like, oh, it's one thing I miss is rocks. I have to tell you, I'm like, send them to me. We had rocks here in Florida.
I had to buy 4 rocks for my studio in Florida to put outside, and I think I spent $1,200 on these 4 rocks, and I literally have. I probably have a couple $1 million worth of rocks. If all hell breaks loose, I get a rock farm,
There you go. I've been telling, when I go up to visit in New York and I'm telling my brother, I'm like, I'm grabbing a few rocks and he's looking at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I don't have any and I miss them so much.
Yeah, no, it's, we had some big giant, bigger than, huge ones.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Kings of Kush is on Vice on Tuesday nights, but Sully, where can folks buy your product at?
Montkush.com. So we're actually, even though we've been doing this for 2 years, we're a relatively young company. We spent a lot of time building the foundation of the farm and our extraction process, and we haven't really, we soft launched our tincture earlier mid last year. The tincture's available at montkush.com, and we're slowly pushing out through some small retailers here and there. So, if you want to try the tincture, I will tell you right now, I would, if we were in a wine tasting competition and you put our bottle of wine, our tincture up against any CBD, you know me, I'm a salesman, but I will tell you, Mont Kush, rosin-based CBD, the natural and the mint are, in my opinion, the best there is. And, for anyone who's maybe looking at me going, hey, it's the OxiClean guy, what does he know about it? I'd love you to try our product. Check out the reviews, montkush.com. We have the gummies are online right now. The soft gels are online. We've got our tincture, which I love giving it to my daughter. If I did this and I only made 1 tincture and I gave it to my daughter, it was worth it. I'm so proud of the effort that everyone's put in, and we're slowly going to be rolling out into retailers. But right now, a lot of retailers won't even carry the ingestibles, because it's still there's still a lot of legislation and a lot of gray, a lot of red tape to having this roll out. So hopefully, I just want everyone to know I didn't title the show Kings of Kush, just so you know, because there are a lot of people who came before me. So you don't have to start calling me Your Highness or Your Excellency or a friend of ours like, you guys got to be the Kings of Kush. But if I'm happy to be part of this movement, I think it's coming, right? I mean, New York State just legalized it. It's coming everywhere. It's exciting to be on. And we're not on the spear tip because there's been people working at this a lot longer than me. But I'm very hopefully I get accepted into the community of farmers and growers, and people will see what we did. And the struggle was and is real with everything we did on the farm. And I give a respect and a shout out to anyone who's it's one thing to grow a plant in your basement, right? Mm-hmm. It's another thing to grow 66,000 plants. So hopefully we get people will understand the kind of the size of the project we took on.
Yeah, I mean,
folks,
now,
if you're just real quick, Meredith, I was just going to say, folks, if you're out there listening and you've only heard about CBD, you're not sure what it's used for, do a little research. Just do a little web search on CBD, because I guarantee you it's going to surprise you. One, it doesn't get people high. Sully wouldn't be giving it to a 7-year-old daughter if it was getting her stoned every day. But this helps with insomnia. It helps with pain. It helps with seizures of different types. uh, hunger. The list just goes on and on.
Yeah, I mean, even just some mental health when
Yes.
depression,
Anxiety.
PTSD, a whole bunch of other things.
We had one of our sound guys, a gentleman called Sean Slaughter is his name. He's a local Vermont guy, and he worked as the audio engineer for us for the year. And he has a son with autism. And I was going through our customer base, and he was buying it and paying retail for it. And this is a guy that worked for us. And I said, Sean, what are you doing? Like, you're one of us. And he told me that his son has experienced so much benefit from Kush CBDs, and the little nuggets that I get. I'll tell you, I mean, I love it. People come up to me in an airport and they're like, hey, it's the OxiClean guy. The kids are like, hey, it get worked. They got the red wine stain out. And it makes me feel great, right? Because OxiClean's a great product. With this product, the love you get, the feeling of the fact that, we're actually helping someone's wellness, whether it's a, returning vet, someone, with a little bit of pain or sleep or anxiety or whatever it is. It's just nice it's just a little sort of, but wait, there's more. It's a good product and it's helping with my health. So, this is a very, very unusual pivot in my, most people turn 50 and go buy a sports car, right? Or, go buy a boat. And now I decided to go buy a farm. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you did that whole midlife crisis thing wrong.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I know.
But now, so we're just now, I mean, pot's been around for a long time, CBD, hemp, all of that stuff. I grew up knowing the benefits of hemp as far as clothing, paper products and things like that, saving the trees and all that stuff. But the pushback must have been pretty severe when it came to, like, let's say, introducing this. Even your own reaction to it was like, CBD to my daughter? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
How have you been dealing with that as far as like public perception and things? Because not only are you dealing with a learning curve to learn how to farm and learn the benefits and everything, plus the press. I mean, that's a constant learning curve.
Yeah.
But now how are you dealing with maybe pushback from people who are like, what is wrong with you? Why are you trying to drug your kids?
Well, I was scared, actually. When I first did it, I kept it under wraps because I was worried what people would think. I'm like, I like to consider, I'm the OxiClean guy. My customers are a lot of moms, and, and that's, moms are, and dads and caregivers. And I was like, I wonder what people are going to think when I jump into this. But I was like, I'm doing this for my kid. I'm doing this for my daughter. And I saw the side effects that the pharmaceuticals she was on had. And if you'd seen my little girl, she was literally listless. I'm going over to see her tonight. Can't wait to see her. And she's back. And her story, and she's one of many. I'll give a shout out to Charlotte Figge, who really very, very sadly passed away last year with the Stanley brothers. If this is helping children, then at some point, even, I would just say to anyone out there who doesn't understand it, is just, like you said, research it, open your eyes. It's about healthy, not high. We breed these below 0.3% THC. It's very challenging. I don't think the verdict is still out to where this can go. I don't think there's enough money been spent on research. We're involved with Cornell and UVM and supporting studies for it. And I like to see the legislation becoming, there's less and less pushback each day. But, at the end of the day, I'm just a dad who's trying to help my kid. And it was a choice of the pharmaceuticals that was destroying my kid or a plant-based option. And it's, it's nature's medicine cabinet, right? So I think even my mom, my mom is like, you're growing cannabis up there in those hills, like, I'm like, Mom, okay, so it's just education, right? The more people talk about it and it comes into the open, and I think it's, I think that we're going in a good direction, and I'm happy to be part of it.
See, I use the tincture every day. Every day I use a tincture. So I'm definitely going to be trying Mont Kush. Fantastic, because I use at least one dropper full a day, sometimes two, depending on my pain. But I do smoke marijuana, but the whole thing is it's along the same line, Sully. they had me on so many opiates that, one, I was constipated from hell. Two, I would have to take 2 naps a day, and you just feel like a zombie. And I kept telling my pain management doctor, I was like, I don't want these pills. Well, then they made it where you have to pass a drug test in order to get these pills anymore. And my doctor was like, look, I don't want you to quit smoking weed. And so now I don't take opiates. I use CBD and marijuana, and then I have some implants that help me. But, you know, that's the thing, is it's not only helping your, you know, people like your daughter, which completely changed her personality, took your daughter away from you. And there's so many cases like that, to where even maybe it didn't change their personality, but CBD controls their seizures better, to where they're lighter or not as long. And then the same thing with pain. And, you know, you said there needs to be more studies. I agree, because every study that I've looked at a lot, I do a lot of writing about CBD for different clients, and not one study have I found that says anything adverse about CBD. It shows the benefits. There's not been any kind of negative findings. And you're talking big companies. You know, this isn't a CBD company that paid for their own. These are schools. These are professors that are doing these research. And so again, folks, if you suffer from any of those elements that we've discussed, go to Mont Kush, or do some research first, and then go to montkush.com and try the tincture. You're going to be surprised how well this stuff helps.
Well,
yeah.
Now,
go ahead.
Well, see, now I was going to ask, because it's marijuana, cannabis, THC, I believe, is still considered a Schedule 1 drug.
Correct.
As far as I'm so now, how far out do you think that legislation is before they catch up and see the benefits and maybe take that off of Schedule 1? Because it's up there.
You know, the decriminalization, that's a whole, you know, you know, I had the pleasure of being on stage at MJ BizCon, and it's last year in Vegas, and it's, you know, it's a big story, right? Just, you know, there's still people serving a lot of time for marijuana related offenses. I just think every day that goes forward, the more people understand it, the more people mobilize and get together, you know, as a community, we can push this forward. I mean, the hypocrisy to me is the opiates, you know, the opiate crisis of the last couple of years, and it devastated communities all over, everywhere, in Florida to Vermont to California. You know, you break your arm snowboarding, you go to the doctor, you get prescribed, you know, opiates. Next minute, you know, they're shoving opiates down your throat like it's candy. You know, 6 months later, you wind up living in a cardboard box under a bridge, shooting up heroin, and that's okay. You know, and it's like, as a society, we live with that the side effects of that, you know, that kind of mentality. And so, you know, it's very difficult for when someone tries to tell me that, you know, marijuana and CBD is bad. I'm like, well, what is opiates? And I'm happy that they've shone the spotlight on the opioid crisis and go, right, we gotta tackle this a different way. So I think it's still early days. I like the fact that, you know, I would like to think I'm a somewhat grounded guy. And I think when, you know, it's been on the fringe, right? It's been on the fringe. And I think you know, I think a lot of the fringe people may look at me and go, what the hell is Sully doing here? Like, this is why. But I'm in it for the right reasons. You know, I'm in it for my daughter. And, you know, and I wanted to have the farm because I wanted to do this the hard way. I wanted to understand it. And I wanted to make a great end product. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, this, I don't know how long that's going to be, but it's coming. I think every day that goes by, you know, it's nice to see both sides of the political fence actually agree on most. It seems like the Republicans and the Democrats kind of can agree on this, that this is worthwhile pursuing. So hopefully it continues with even more momentum.
So you're past your second grow season on the Boulder farm. Is there any plans to expand? Are you looking at a second location, or are you just going to stick with what you got right now and see how things go?
We're going to do a couple things differently this year. We actually have to rotate our fields. Listen to me now, you know, we're going to start talking like a real farmer. So we have to rotate our fields in order to maintain our organic certification. We probably won't lay plastic this year. We're actually going to experiment with some different row spacing so we can deal with the weeds. We've built a tremendous amount of inventory. We have kilos and kilos of high CBD rosin. So right now we're just pushing that through to our product line. We will go in the ground this year, but no plans to expand beyond Vermont. And if we do, our neighbor Lloyd, if you're watching Lloyd, we're coming for your land, buddy. We're going to be growing on our neighbor's yard. But everyone in Vermont, everyone has been really, really supportive. And I'm very grateful for the town of Plainfield and Berry and Montpelier. And I actually got to sit next to Bernie Sanders on an American Airlines flight going down to D.C. Yeah, before he was president, or while he was running for president. And I stopped them and Mr. Sanders, Senator, I'd like to thank you for your, for your service, just because I admire anyone who's in public service. And I told him what I was doing. And he said, the people of Plainfield will not be disappointed that you're growing hemp. So it's even to meet Bernie Sanders, of course, he's, Vermonter himself. So it's been great.
Now, I do have one other quick question about the process of getting started. CBD is a lot different, of course, but how long and what kind of BS red tape did you have to go through to even be able to get started?
It actually in Vermont was pretty easy, and that was one of the reasons we were attracted to it. It's very easy to get a hemp license there. They're very, very, I forget how much, it was like $100. Went down to Montpelier, registered our farm. There was very, very little red tape, which was, very low barrier to entry. We actually had a local farmer helped us, so we had a big brother to help us. But from a actual, a governmental red tape standard, it wasn't a lot. What is difficult is banking is still almost impossible. Right. Insurance is super high, because you just mentioned the word hemp. Try getting a loan when you're a hemp company, almost impossible. Some banks will deal with it. QuickBooks won't process payroll. If it has hemp on the equipment, it's about 5 times the price of, if it's a broom that you would buy for sweeping up corn, it's $5. If it's a broom that you would buy for sweeping up hemp, it's $25. Everything is more expensive. And we found that, and I think that's just because it's new and people, rookie people like us are in the space. So we've experienced that, but, it's challenging, workman's comp insurance, everything. Like, it's not as simple to, and of course we have Kush in our name. So it's even FedEx and UPS is challenging. We've had, I think sometimes people think we're actually shipping a high THC weed. We have more things go missing in the mail than you can imagine. But
Lord.
Yeah, so
the postman gets high twice.
Right. We actually shipped a whole bunch of flour to Vegas, and we never saw any of it. It all went missing mysteriously. Everything else made it except the flour. So it probably ended out on the street with someone trying to sell it for THC, which is a shame, because that's not what it will do. But yeah. But that's part of the challenges of starting a new business, right? Every new business has its pitfalls and roadblocks.
And that's something, I'm sorry, Meredith, just real quick.
Yep.
That's something that's really surprising, because every state CBD products are legal.
I know.
It's
very frustrating, because it's state to state, the federal farm bill. It still is. Some retailers won't touch it. They won't touch it. But I feel like it's coming. It's just coming. We just have to stay in the fight, keep pushing the educational message forward. Exactly. Like I said, we're working with Cornell, we're working with UVM, and anything we can do to be part of that conversation. And, I was over at MJ BizCon. I was on stage with some of the industry leaders. And it's a new business, and it's also attracted some, like any new sort of rush, it's attracted a lot of people who just kind of got in and they're getting out, because it's a lot more difficult than what people think. Ultimately, we're farming, and farming is hard, whatever you're growing, so there's a little bit of romance to, they're growing hemp and it looks like cannabis, but it's still good old fashioned farming that requires you to get up early, do a lot of work, drag rocks out of field, work for any kind of weather, and equipment's breaking down all the time, and you've got all the usual headaches that you have associated with farming. So
now, Anthony, we've had you for about 35 minutes now. Do you have to get going?
No, I'm good. I give you but if you would keep talking, I'll give you 5 more minutes.
All right. I'm good with that.
Now, I wanted to ask real quick, you're using the flour off the hemp. are you doing anything with the rest of the hemp? Are you selling that for industrialized?
At the moment, we've tried to maintain every bit of the plant, so it all has value, right? That the real valuable part of the plant for us is the flower. And as you go down to the trim, there's CBD, and it's degraded. The amount of CBD in the plant comes down, and at some point you end out with the stalk. And we have 75,000 hemp stalks this year. Right now, they're in a big pile. And at the moment, we have not found. We're really, really focused on obviously dealing with. You're a startup company, so we're focused on the valuable part of the plant. But we would love to push the byproduct into. There's a lot of talk about horses for the equestrian world. And obviously the fibers for clothing and rope. And there's an old story actually that I know many people know, that hemp would make rope, and it was actually the guys that made nylon, DuPont. This is the urban myth that once DuPont got the patent on nylon ropes, they were one of the companies that pushed the legislation against hemp to make it more difficult to grow. So that apparently that's why we have nylon ropes. So who knows if that's true or not? But I've heard all these. Right. The Constitution of the United States was written on hemp paper. A lot of people don't know that, So it's apparently George Washington grew hemp. So
exactly, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
that's back then, marijuana and hemp were widely used, especially hemp. And it wasn't until the 50s with the whole push against marijuana, and it's just kind of stayed that way since. And unfortunately, hemp and CBD have fallen into that the bad zone. What was that? Reefer Madness,
right.
that old show movie.
Right.
And so it still has that stigma, even though, Colorado and New York and all these others are not only legalizing medicinal, but they're legalizing recreational marijuana. Everybody's legalized CBD, but I'm hoping that Kings of Kush is kind of a stepping stone to where we see more companies coming like this, so that it does start educating the public more. Because, sure, we can write articles, we can do these shows and getting the word out. But truth be told, guys, Facebook, Twitter, all of those, they restrict CBD advertising stuff.
Oh, don't get me started. We can't Google AdWords. Very difficult to buy. Facebook, very difficult to advertise. Extremely, and which is super frustrating for me, right? Because I'm an ad guy. OxiClean, I'm coming at you 1,000 miles an hour, swivel sweeper. Unfortunately, it's not as simple as it is with CBD, and so hopefully the TV show becomes a vehicle where people can learn and get educated, and we can also get the message out as well. So that's I'm excited about that. But you're right, it's not the easiest space to live in from a marketing standpoint.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things that you had mentioned earlier was the problem with QuickBooks, the payroll, banking, anything like that. Have you looked at blockchain technology and maybe cryptocurrency?
We were talking about that the other day, and I think that maybe I just found out that apparently some athletes today are taking their contracts in Bitcoin. So. That may be a way of the future. It's I'm keeping a close eye on it, but yeah, I mean, it would be so great to be able to transact using that and be able to get around. I think that's a whole separate conversation, right, about blockchain and the new transactions and currencies. But the fact that we can't process payroll, it's just so annoying, and we never figured this out, right, until it was too late for payroll. It's like all of a sudden we didn't know, because when we started, we all of a sudden they wouldn't process it for us. So we were 5 days late paying everybody, which they weren't happy about, but we got it done.
Now I may be wrong, maybe I dreamed this, but wasn't there some legislation that either just got passed or is up to be passed to where banks are going to be able to start dealing with these kind of companies?
They are, but it's still up to the bank itself. I don't want to mention any banks by name, but the banks still can, I think they have a risk, tolerance, right? And if their CEO and if their board decides that they don't want to, be laundering money law, whatever it is, I actually have a bank that I have a great relationship with, and the name of the farm is Devonia Farms. And when they found out, they actually already closed on the land. When I found out I was growing, they almost like wanted to give me the loan back. I said, guys, give me a break. But yeah, the banking industry has been slow to adopt it. So every single one of our competitors and the people in the space as a community, we all struggle with that. And it's, I just feel at some point there's going to be, trade organizations, and they'll be, lobbying in a good way, hopefully, to get us so we can be accepted and be part of the, and be able to operate like any other business. We shouldn't have to operate. It makes it a challenging business already more challenging,
So the next thing I wanted to ask is, because we, at Geek Insider, we love comic books, we love entertainment, we love those things. Comic cons are starting to open up right now. And I wonder, are there CBD events? Are there conventions that you go to or that you might be planning on being at where people can meet you?
There was a big 2019, we did a couple. We did a show, and 2 in Vegas, actually. And there was a lot of buzz in 2018, 2019 around, the excitement of this new space. And the conventions were absolutely packed. It's sort of mellowed out a little bit now. And right now I'm speaking in September, but the whole convention scene, as you know, is dropped off completely. And I love doing this virtually but to do a convention virtually is very difficult. I actually almost got booked 2 years ago for Comic-Con in San Diego as the OxiClean guy to do something, but it fell through. I was pretty psyched about that, yeah.
I totally would have been at your booth saying, hey, sign my shirt.
So which is it that they identify you more with? Is it the OxiClean, ShamWow? Is it always the OxiClean?
It's always OxiClean. I actually started the marketing with OxiClean back in 1999 with Billy Mays. I knew Billy was my really good friend. We were neighbors. We lived here together in St. Pete, the Tampa Bay area. We used to run around. He's been gone 10 years now. And when Billy more than 10 years, been gone 11, 12 years. But when Billy first came out with OxiClean with the guys in Denver who started the company, I was the guy writing the commercials, and then we had the TV show together. And when Billy passed, they asked me to be the OxiClean guy, and I was very nervous about doing it because I was like, people love Billy, including me. And I was firstly I lost my best friend, and I also was concerned about how I'd be, people gonna how are they going to take me being, trying to be the new quarterback? Right. But the guys at Church and Dwight who bought OxiClean are very, very, they play a very, they're family-orientated company, and they're out of Ewing, New Jersey, and they found a way that I'll never forget the marketing director. I'll tell you a little story. The marketing, I sat in his office and I said, how are we going to do this? How am I possibly going to stand and be the OxiClean guy after Billy? I said, it's just not going to work. And he said, I got an idea. And this is a guy that was in charge of the Tylenol recall. So he knew how to, handle a crisis. And he said, we're going to honor the man and we're going to advance the brand. Honor the man and advance the brand. And he just stared at the floor and he said that to me. And I'm like, you know what? If you want to honor my friend and we could do this and we can move the brand forward, then that's what Billy would have wanted. And they took out a full page ad in the USA Today, paying him homage when Billy passed. And there's not a day that goes by when I have pictures of him all around my office. So, but yeah, OxiClean is the brand. I've been the OxiClean guy now for 12 years. I love the brand. I love the product. I love being part of that whole. And ShamWow, yeah, that's our buddy Vince. Don't get me started on ShamWow. Billy had a big feud with Vince. Vince is Vince. I let Vince do his own thing. But I've, over the years, I did the swivel sweeper. I have my new cleaning line coming out with the Cleanica steam cleaner. It cleans, deodorizes, sanitizes all in one. No, sorry.
I love that though. You can immediately switch into that voice and sell anything.
Yeah,
including rocks.
Yeah, including rocks. Well, they have me doing a pitch at the end of each episode for rocks, and
they're great.
I'll take some rocks. Now I wanted to ask, with any good business plan, there's usually an exit plan.
Yeah.
What does retirement look like for you, Sully?
You know what? I'm from Devon in the UK, and I left there 20, almost 30 years ago now. I'm 22. So 30 years ago, my mom just had a mild heart attack. I lost my dad last year. Actually, the last episode of Kings of Kush is it was a horrible day for me. I lost my dad, but I see myself going back to England. I love Devon. I love the United States. I would like to do my winters in Florida. I'd like to spend a little time in Vermont in the summer, and I'd like to at least spend the next couple of years making sure my mom's okay. And if anyone's ever been to Devon in the UK, it's a beautiful place. I named my daughter after Devon. I don't know if I'll ever stop. I do like to ride my bike. I go to bed early now. I'm like an old man. I'm normally in bed by 8:30. I'm hardly up at 6 or 6:30. But I love doing what I do. I love making commercials and have a lot of fun with it. I get a big kick out of it when kids come up to me, especially kids. They're like, "Oh my God, it's the OxiClean guy," And I obviously with Mont Kush, this is a new chapter of my life. And I'm like I said, I'm only 52, and I still, I got a little fight in me. There's still some hunt in this dog. So, but exit strategy, yeah. It's at some point, right? You get tired.
And we're the exact same age. I just turned 52 in February. You must be doing something right, because you look a heck of a lot better than I do. But
I wouldn't say you get the beard going in there. It's you get the gray beard. Trust me. I got a little gray coming in right here. See it?
Oh yeah, there is a little bit. And the beard actually got me a part in a movie. They're putting me in Puppet Master later this year, or supposed to. And Charles Band told me if I shaved it, I was out of the movie. So we'll keep it going. And I had a question, Meredith. It never fails. I do this every time, Sully. I'll have a question and then I totally forget it. So, but real quick, then I can do a plug. Make sure you tune in to Kings of Kush on Vice Tuesday nights. We're only
Thursday night, 11.
Oh, Thursday nights.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's on YouTube as well. If you type in Kings of Kush, and you can get it on Hulu. But Vice Thursdays 11:30 p.m.
And
And then head over to Mont Kush, MONTKUSH.com.
That's MONTKUSH, MONTKUSH.com.
And order now.
But you also have a personal website that you can find your other links to other things. Yes.
AnthonySullivan.com. It's my business is a lot of fun. Ultimately we make commercials for, products that solve a common problem and that are affordable. So we have had a lot of fun over the years. We've had some crazy commercials we've done here, and it's great to be to move into a new chapter in my life with Mont Kush.
And before Mont Kush, I did know that you had a sense of humor, because I watched the World's Dumbest, and you've been on there for the world's smartest inventions, and you'll do your little pitches there, where you're just screwing around, and so I knew that you had a sense of humor, but I didn't realize how good it was until Kings of Kush, and you're doing those little clips at the end. And of course, those are on YouTube by themselves now. And it's great that, you poke fun at yourself, but you have fun with it. And then, you roll with it. And I really appreciate you coming on the show, but you gave me chills several times, Sully, for the whole reason that you did this. You've got the exact right reasonings. Nobody could ever fault you, no matter if this was some other kind of drug that you were growing or plant you were growing that, was controversial. It doesn't matter, because you did it for the right reasons. And the biggest thing is it's helping your daughter. Like you said, if you only were able to give her one bottle, it would have been worth it. I can't wait to try it out. You've wrapped season 1. Is there going to be another season?
Unknown at this point. I can't let the cat out of the bag. But season 1, the finale is a great episode. We have this gentleman called Shabinsky visits us at the farm. Obviously, I had the loss of my father. We had a frost. We had a lot coming at us. But we, stay tuned, watch the show. Hopefully you laugh and you celebrate our victories and our triumphs. And it's some tragedy. It's all very, very real. It's actually watching it. I just, I get the episodes a couple of days before they go on the air. I don't really get involved in what they look like. The boys in LA put them together, but it's it's actually tough to watch sometimes because I'm like, oh my God, that happened, and I forgot about it. It's been almost 18 months ago. So, yeah, it's watching it I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe we even did that,
Are there ever any times when you're like, oh, please don't put that in there?
Yeah, there's a couple times they haven't done it. There was one time when I went down to get some help in Burlington. And I ended up getting chin wobble. We needed some help, and I was thinking about my little girl, and I choked up on camera, and I was like, I hope that doesn't make the show. I'm like crying like a little baby. I got really emotional on this project. It pushed me to my limit on many, many levels, and it's very real. So there's a couple times when, you'll see me getting choked up, and it's not manufactured. Like yeah. And I'm so grateful to we got the storytelling power of Tom Beers from Deadliest Catch and History Channel, so Tom knows what he's doing. So I just please don't make me look bad, Tom. But he loves they find those little nuggets. Trust me, they find them. I'm like, yeah, all right. They mark the tape when we do something stupid. So
I'm reminded of, I think it was $1 Million Baby, Clint Eastwood. And there was a moment where if the camera had panned on him with the tears and crying and things like that, he probably could have gotten the Academy Award, but he chose not to. He gave that scene away. And, and so those are powerful moments. Those are things that help us connect with you as a human being and not just a TV personality. So I appreciate you for showing those real emotions and things, because these are real things that we're dealing with. You're helping to solve a real problem. And personally, the pharmaceuticals, if it's built in a lab, I'm sorry, I would much rather go for something that's coming out of the ground, that is naturally there. And I really think that you're doing a service, and I appreciate you for those emotions and that whole wealth of information that you're giving us to a brand new audience who's out there, because Vice kind of caters in a way to a younger audience as well.
Yeah, the Vice audience is progressive audience. They're an edgy audience, a younger audience. I think the Vice audience is a little further down the road and with their acceptance of marijuana than most people. I think with Vice, we're probably not the edgiest show on Vice, but I'm very grateful to be part under the Vice umbrella, and we're pushing up onto Hulu. So I'm glad that they had the foresight. There are a couple of networks that wouldn't take it because they were afraid of the association with this. So, big up to Vice for having the balls to do this, take this project on with us. Very grateful.
And we are almost at the top of the hour, and we're actually past the hour, but I'm looking at our little timer here. We've had you for 52 minutes.
There we go.
We're done going, and I appreciate that so much, Norm. And we're gonna end this pretty soon, but I'm gonna pass it off to my co-anchor here, because we normally give our guests one last question.
And this could be interesting, Sully. And I've still got to do the article for all the answers from last year. But the question that we ask everybody is, if you could go back in time and give your younger self just one piece of advice, what would it be?
You know what? My dad actually said it to me, and the advice that I would get is it sticks with me, is do a thing, do it well. Whatever you do in life, just do a thing, do it well. My first job in the United States was cleaning toilets on a youth hostel for the North Shore of Hawaii, called the Vacation Inn, for this lady called Charlene Fu, and I still keep in touch with her to this day. And I was the best damn toilet cleaner that place ever seen since 1988. And I was proud of those toilets, and I cleaned them, and I did everything I've ever done. Do a thing, do it well. And I would say that to, because it's easy to take a shortcut, right? Or not do it well, not finish the job, don't show up on time. And even if you have a miserable, crappy job, if you do that job to the best of your ability, something good will come from it. And the suffering at the time, sometimes you're like, why am I doing this? Why am I bending over, cleaning up puke on a toilet that's, someone puke? But you know what? You do a thing, you do it well. It's a simple piece of advice. My dad instilled that in me. And I will go back to the younger version of myself and just remind myself, whatever you do, do it to the best of your ability.
Love it.
That totally speaks to your work ethic and the fact that you've gotten this far. And I mean, just you're a Renaissance man. You know, you're kind of doing it all. And I cannot wait to see the next chapter.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm deadly serious. If you DM me, I will dispatch 2 tinctures to you in either mint or natural, the 2 flavors that people like. Let me know. I'd love you to try it.
You want me to just email you to that same one I sent the?
Yeah, just shoot me an email and I'll dispatch and you get them in the next few days. And I'd love to, give us a little feedback or comment and let us know you like it. All right.
Yeah,
All
we'll throw something up.
Well, we appreciate you, everybody. Go ahead, Matthew. I'm going to put this up.
I was just going to remind everybody, Thursday nights on Vice, check out Kings of Kush. If you want to try out Mont Kush, go to montkush.com or anthonysullivan.com if you want to check out every place he's at and all the good stuff he's got going.
Anthony, I didn't know if you wanted to finish out with your website again, with your voice, of course.
There we go.
If you want to experience the best CBD on the planet, solventless extraction from our organic farm in Plainfield, Vermont, go to montkush.com. That's montkush.com. And don't forget to tune into Kings of Kush on Vice at Thursday at 11:30 p.m. This is Anthony Sullivan signing out. montkush.com. But wait, there's more. OxiClean gets the tough stain done.
Oh, you should have. But wait, there's more. Visit geekinsider.com. We can have that clip.
But wait, there's more. Visit geekinsider.com. This is Anthony Sullivan telling you to check out geekinsider.com. That's GEEKKS. I get it.
Sully, thanks so much, sir.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. All right.